Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of ParaMindful. I am your co-host, Melball Collins. Over there is Alex the Werewolf, and down there is it the gold standard now? Karl Carafel?
Apparently, that's the verbiage Bobby's been using, so let's run
Wow.
with it.
Hey, we're
Classy.
gonna run long, run hard with it.
They
Yep.
don't.
How
They
are you
don't even.
guys doing today, Karl?
I'm doing very well. It's been a great day as always.
They don't even put the money on the gold standard anymore, man. It's all on the oil standard.
hmm
You're highbrow. Nice.
Hey, there you go. Yeah,
That's
we're
right.
getting up
That's
there. We're
right.
getting up there. And Alex, how are you doing today? Done saving the world for a little while?
For the next little bit, hopefully. Yeah, no, the fires got really, really bad at one point, and my job is to make sure things don't blow up. So
Well,
nothing
thank you
blew
for
up. So
preventing our province from
I
blowing
did
up.
my job.
And that being said, we have an exciting episode for you guys this week. I put out a little thing there. What do we want to talk about this week? And Karl had this really cool idea that we're going to get into this week, which is dream spirits, dream things, just dreams.
Dream, dream, dream. Sweet dreams, you make my dreams come true.
Karl, let us know about all of these cool little spooky things that we know as dream spirits.
Sure. So, start things off. You kind of wake up in the middle of the night, and well, there it is, a present that you can first feel, then you see when you open up your eyes, scaring the ever loving crap out of you. You try to scream and run, but you feel frozen in place. It's like you're paralyzed or being held down by an evil spirit. So, what in the world is actually happening? They call it a sleep paralysis demon that is there. It's a thing, and you're not the only one that's experienced it if you have before. Something that happens to a lot of different people. So, depending on who you actually ask, this demon, and I will quotation, this demon is really different for everyone. Some claim that it's almost faceless, shapeless presence that's attempting to smother and suffocate you. Others claim that it's like an old hag with long fingernails that resemble claws. And some even believe that it is a full on alien abduction that is taking place. The most frightening to me, though, has to be claims of the demons that look like dead relatives. So, different cultures have their own explanation on this as well. The Canadian Inuit attribute it to spells from shamans. Japanese folklore says that it's a vengeful spirit that suffocates its enemies in their sleep. But the one that really gripped me the most was the Brazilian folklore. They actually have a name for this demon, and it's Pisteira, which is loosely in Japanese or in Portuguese translated to she who steps back then. Nowadays, as I looked up in several different places, Pisadeira, Pisadeira, really means treadmill. So,
Still fun. Still
right,
fun.
it's a little far, it's a little different, it's a little out there, but back then, this word was meaning almost she who steps. So she's a croon with long fingernails who lurks on rooftops in the night, and then she'll walk on the chest of people who have fallen asleep with a full stomach. Sometimes you get this feeling of almost being watched, although you don't see anything there. But the hair on the back of your neck stands up. Other times you notice a smell, almost putrid, that fills the room, and then you hear footsteps getting closer and closer. You can't see a thing, but you can tell that she's there. When you finally do see the old hag, the first thing that you see is fiery red eyes, and then her yellow claw like fingernails, looking really dirty but extra sharp. Her fingers are long and dry, with skin actually flaking off of it. And her nose, as in most folklore, turns out to be long and crooked, like that of a witch, as we would, as Hollywoodized, see a witch nowadays. The sharp, decaying teeth inside of her mouth that are green and rotten are still perfect for eating small children, though. And once you've processed all of this in your mind, a loud, scary laugh comes about, like the cackle of a witch that fills the room and you with actual terror. So the old hag appears after a beautiful and tasty dinner, much like those that are done on like special occasions. For us in North America, we could equate it to like maybe two different celebrations, like Thanksgiving and Christmas, where we have big meals. We've got the turkey, the stuffing, the potatoes, the vegetables, the pie. We've got it all, and we go and eat to our fill, as well as having lots of drink, whether that's wine, spirits, or beer, depending. Then you go to sleep, as one normally does after eating turkey. That's when everything happens. You're having a great night of sleep, but then in the middle of the night, you open up your eyes and you find that you can't move, though you're actually wide awake. Are you paralyzed? Who knows? So you ask yourself, what in the world is happening? So as you're laying motionless in your bed, you see out of the corner of your eye a shadow. You believe that it's simply your imagination until you hear laughter and smell the disgusting stench that's filling the room. The shadow starts to move and the laughter freaks you out. You try to scream, but no noise actually exits your body. You see what appears to be an old hag that crawls onto your bed, and this is where you start to recognize the attributes of her face and body. You see the jagged teeth as she laughs over your own discomfort. Then she will put one foot on your chest with all of her weight so that you can't breathe. Question is, could this be your last night on Earth? Your family is actually right outside the door, but every attempt that you give to scream doesn't work. Then you suddenly feel as if nothing is in the room with you, and you can breathe, and you've actually been spared that night. This night you got lucky because Pisadera usually takes her victims when she comes. Legend says that she hides on the rooftops waiting for the household to have a great meal and then climbs into your home to take your breath away until you're dead. Nowadays, we sufficiently know what dreams are. However, once you wake up, everything is kind of back to normal and you slowly begin to forget about the dream that you actually had. What if waking up didn't get rid of the demon in your room, though? That's what we call sleep paralysis or dream world spirits. Considering the multitude of people across the world that have seen an old hag, when they have sleep paralysis, it offers a larger belief into the world of demons and ghosts. Because really, how could everyone across the world see the same old hag? It's still an unknown, and that's what we're here to kind of talk about and find out.
Mel, what the hell is behind you?
Fuck right off. Fuck all the way right off, sir. All the way to the top of Fuck Off Mountain.
Sorry, I had to. I've been waiting.
Never have I been like, Karl, your voice, I've encouraged you to seek narration, but never have I ever wanted not a picture painted in my own home.
That was awesome.
I need a darkness buddy, like a thunder buddy.
Thunder buddy.
Like, my goodness.
Fuck you, Thunder.
Fuck you, Thunder!
Well, that utterly terrified me, but I mean, we can see examples of this in like pop culture and like movies, television. What was that? That Netflix series with the House on Haunted Hill. they had their main story in the first season kind of play around that sleep paralysis kind of idea.
Right.
Myself, I mean, and even our good friend Bobby Munson has mentioned he's also had experience with this kind of stuff. We got to have him on sometime to talk about that.
Oh yeah.
It's very, very scary, but also, as you mentioned, very interesting that it's not just necessarily isolated to Brazil. It's people experiencing things like this all over the world. So
Right.
what is the similarity? What is it? Is it connecting to them through, thousands of years of people traveling the world and, bumping uglies with people, getting kids everywhere? Is that how that's kind of happening? Like what do you guys think triggers it, Alex?
I don't know. Obviously there's something that we don't see. There is whether it's another dimension or whatever, it's there. It's the only thing that explains all of this shit. You know what I mean? Whether it's sleep demons or fucking Bigfoot, or you know what I mean? Like it's got to be.
Yeah.
And like based on what it does, I mean, you mentioned it's obviously more associated with a demon than anything because it clearly doesn't do anything nice.
Right. But again, this is only one that I really like kind of delved into, and they're not always all like this. Like I mentioned, well, some people believe that it's an alien abduction.
When it comes to aliens, there's some things I just can't tell you.
Others believe that it's just a spell that's been cast by shamans of years ago.
I put a spell on you.
So this is just one example that I found really interesting, just because of the folklore behind it. And yeah, it's really do either one of you two have a different type of scenario that kind of equates with the spirit world dream demons?
I think
Okay.
both of us do, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
perfect.
I mean, like, not me personally, but I have a whole subgenre of people. I don't know if you want to hear that now or if you want to keep chatting, but
People, did you say subgenre of people?
yes, that's correct.
Oh yes. Well, there's many different ways that things like to mess with us in our sleep.
Several countries and several, I guess, groups of people.
Okay.
All right. Well, you had mentioned first of all that some people notice dead family members. I actually, there's stories pertaining to what I'm about to talk about, and I didn't bother writing them down because it was just this huge rabbit hole. So put a pin in that for a second. But I'm gonna have you. Well, let's talk about horror movies for a second, okay?
Sure.
Specifically, Nightmare on Elm Street. Okay, we all know Nightmare on Elm Street, Freddy Krueger. Maybe
Yep.
those out there in Videoland don't. Freddy Krueger is a dream serial killer who kills you in your dreams. What most people don't know is that Wes Craven, the guy who created it, had read an article about several people passing away in their sleep. Now, I don't know where to exactly start, so I'll start with the times, or the years, I should say. So 1977, 1978, around there, was the first death of somebody who was sleeping. It became known as sudden unexplained nocturnal death syndrome, or SUNS, kind of like SIDS but different. This particularly happened in the United States. Anyways, I'm just talking about the States here. Although it happens all over, and I'll get into that in a second, but specifically in the United States, to the Hmong people, Hmong, and they're from southeastern China and east to like Vietnam, Laos, Cambodia, wherever, So I'm just going to use one example of a story. There was a woman who was in bed with her husband, and she woke up to him screaming, but him sleep screaming. And then all of a sudden, his breath started to be like forced out of his chest, and she could see him trying to gather get more air in there, and then he just died. So this was one of 117 people who died this way. And there's several witnesses to this phenomena, so much so that it is in fact scientifically named sudden unexplained nocturnal death syndrome, is like a legit scientific term now. Doctors checked the bodies. They found no toxins. There were no poisons. There was no apnea, no sleep apnea. There was no heart attack, no heart disease, no cancer, nothing. These people were healthy. There was no traces of chemicals being like weapons, because these were all refugees from Laos and Vietnam, and right. So the interesting thing is this: all through those countries that I listed earlier, they have this demon that sits or stomps on your chest while you're asleep, and it's supposed to be absolutely horrifying. And so I couldn't pronounce the word in excuse me, I couldn't pronounce the word in Vietnamese, so I'm not even going to try. But it translates to, first of all, I should tell you who the Hmong are. So the Hmong are, it's an indigenous group. So it's they were born in those countries. It's like a culture almost. Okay. The doctors went so far as to rule out electrocution, electrical faults, currents through bodies, all sorts of things. They ruled out everything from smothering to electricity. It's ridiculous. So like I said, more than 117 Hmong refugees, and they were only Hmong refugees. There was nobody else who was, because this was like during wartime. The interesting thing is that this just all of a sudden stopped in the early mid 80s, just stopped, and it's never happened again. People continue to die, but it's not like a whole rush of people, which I find very interesting. So like I said, the Hmong people call it the pressure demon, but they're not the only one to call it a pressure demon. It's the Vietnamese have it, the Cambodian people have it. It's all the same for their language. It's all the pressing demon. It's really messed up. The Philippines. Oh my God, we're talking about the Bible now. Oh man, the Philippians,
Right?
the Filipinos have the same kind of. Sorry, always goes back to religion. The Filipinos have the same kind of creature as well, creature, demon, spirit, but they see old family members standing, like past family members, I should say, standing beside them, as well as this demon. And there's reports of people having gotten out of it, I guess out of one of these attacks, and one of them was reported to have said, if you start thrashing when you're in your dream, you won't make it. So you have to remain calm. You have to realize that this thing wants to take you, and if it thinks that you're already dead, it won't take you. I thought that was kind of interesting. But yeah, Wes Craven read the article about it because it was in all the newspapers, and it's 100% proven it happened. And he created Freddy Krueger and Nightmare on Elm Street from this. So I thought that was kind of interesting. What I find most interesting, though, is it just stopped. And there's no reason for it. So I thought it was pretty cool.
That's something interesting that you mentioned. It had started, you said, when the country was kind of at war, right?
Yeah, so it started with the Hmong people who had come over from Asia when there was like the only word I can think of is apartheid. It's not apartheid because I was in South Africa, but like there's like massacres of certain groups and stuff.
Genocide.
Thank you. I'm tired.
It's fair.
Yeah, and so they fled over here, became refugees. Well, not over here, I guess, but in the States. And it was just like it reached its peak, I think they said, in about 1982, where there was like 92 of the whatever 117 people had died. It was like a large number, and they all died. Like that was like the peak year, and then it kind of tapered off, and then just stopped. And so there had been more refugees since then. There were some in, I think, 96 and in the 2000s as well, but didn't happen to them. So they don't know what it was. They don't know if it like, I mean, scientists are never going to say that it was a demon or something, but yeah, it's kind of cool. Interesting to me, anyways.
So you had mentioned that autopsies and reports and stuff were done.
Yep.
Was that done on every single person?
Yes.
Oh,
So here's the
okay.
interesting thing is that in the United States, if somebody dies mysteriously, they have to be autopsied to make sure they're to rule out any sort of murder, especially back then, because back then there was like a whole thing with glycol poisoning, like engine antifreeze. It tasted really, really sweet back then. So now they've had to add things to make it taste putrid, so that if somebody is trying to poison you, you realize. But yeah, so they always test. It's pretty crazy.
The late 1900s was a wild time, wasn't it?
Yeah. The late 1900s. That's so messed up.
How did we survive?
Right. Like, that is crazy, though, eh?
I wonder if there might have been, because like you said, it kind of like started around that time where there was that displacement kind of happening. I wonder if there might have been like some kind of cultural connection there where the people were still, as they were kind of adapting to their new place, that there might have been some kind of thread of their culture or religion that was still connecting them in some way.
It's interesting that you said that, because I actually forgot to write that down here. But they believed that they were being punished by the spirits of their ancestors for having fled their country. That's what the Hmong people believed. So
Well, someone used to let their ancestors know that the other ancestors were trying to off them and they kind of had to leave.
that was in the Philippines, where the ancestors stand beside you. But yeah, no,
No.
it's so they actually thought that these attacks were spiritual, obviously, but they thought that it was because their ancestors were really pissed off, saying, "Hey, you left our country in war and you didn't fight for it," that kind of thing. So, which is totally unfair, because a genocide, you know, there's one side that's clearly losing and is going to lose, right? So
Well, it's usually the ones that are being put in those things.
yeah,
They're usually the same ones that are fleeing.
yeah, the refugees. So
Mhm.
I thought it was very, very interesting, because obviously I like movies and stuff, and so I had read up on this stuff a long time ago, so I was very familiar with it. But reading up for this video, it's just kind of like, it reminded me of points that were very, very interesting to me, because they have no way of ever explaining this. This doesn't make sense to anybody, whether it's scientists who are just like working with brains and dreams and whatever, or it's morticians, or it's whatever, you know what I mean? More, it doesn't. Everybody is lost. So
Very interesting topic here, especially because I don't dream anymore, mercifully. Because my goodness.
it's funny that you said that, because Freddy versus Jason, that movie, they have a drug in that movie called, I think it's called, I don't remember what it is anymore. It's very similar to Rohypnol, which is like the date rape drug, but
Yeah.
it makes them not dream. So yeah.
Yeah.
In the movie,
I mean, arguably enough weed can do that for you too. Just putting it out there, you guys. Because you can go back and watch our debut episode of ParaMindful here. I was having not some awesome times with my dreams, and something that was, spiritually attacking me. And it wasn't like it was showing me my family members, it was showing me my friends, it was showing me doing horrible things to them doing horrible things to me. These things are very powerful. They can have a profound effect on you. And when they get you overtired too, I mean, suddenly the waking world doesn't feel like it's waking. You kind of almost feel like you're in a perpetual dream.
kind of like
Is that maybe you think the end goal for them, to trap you in that loop of?
No idea. I admittedly have never experienced sleep paralysis. I've never experienced the old hag syndrome, although I do know people who have, several people actually, which is really bizarre when you think about it. But it's always the same. Not even a general. It's quite a narrow set of criteria that this old hag meets. So it's kind of interesting.
Because the thing that I saw wasn't an old hag at all. I mean, we've described what it is. It's a creepy, crawly, tall, slender, long-limbed faceless thing.
Still
Mhm.
gives
It doesn't look like an old hag. I would prefer it to look like an old hag. At least I would be able to think that I might be able to take it.
that still gives me,
Right?
still gives me the heebie-jeebies to think about that, though.
I mean, I would rather not touch it, but I'd also rather it not sitting on my chest
Yeah, I don't know.
or laughing in the corner or something.
It's frightening because you arguably that's like your most vulnerable time, right? Is when you're
Absolutely.
sleeping. You got your eyes are closed. You know,
You're
The
resting.
kendo stick's
Or
under the bed,
resting.
not on top of it.
Yeah, right.
that's the problem. You got to keep sleep with it under your pillow with your hand on it. You know.
Could you imagine the poor unfortunate soul that does try to come in and yeah, hit it first, whack 'em all.
Ask questions
Hold
later.
it up over here, hold a drink in the other hand, and just be good about it.
Yeah,
Come and get some.
that's right.
I found it interesting as well, Alex. You were talking about, Wes Craven with the movies.
Yep.
And okay, so Freddy Krueger, what does he have? What is his weapon?
Freddy Krueger has
Stabby pins.
people call it knife fingers, but it's not. It's actually a glove with knives on it. And that is 100% evidence in the movies where you see him making them and you see somebody steal them.
Which to me is very reminiscent of that old hag
Yeah.
with her fingernail claws.
Yeah, and so that's all part of the Wes Craven idea, because he had read about the Hmong people and had gone on further and then read about the old hag with the claws and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Anybody who's seen Freddy Krueger in a film, obviously, knows that his face is burnt, like he's severely burnt, and he's got scar tissue all over. So it's not an old hag, but you could argue that an old hag might look like that. I don't know.
He's got the
Right.
nose. For some reason, the one that's standing out to me the most is the video game one.
I don't know if I've ever played a video game.
No,
No. Like the movie with he put the guy in the video game.
So that's I think that's Dreamwares, maybe. I don't know. What is it? Friday the 13th 3 Dreamwares, I think. It's been
I have no idea.
years since I've watched it. I should probably do a review. I should
I
actually
just know that Freddy put the guy, like his dream nightmare was in an almost Mario-esque
Yep.
2D video game, and then he had to run it, and then he died.
I should right.
Shock and amazement.
I should do a review on it because I haven't done a review in 11 months apparently. So
Get on it,
maybe
sir.
you
If you want
should.
to say the weather. It is what is the weather right now? That we're keeping you in the house at 8:30 at night.
9 degrees.
It is 30 degrees outside, my guy.
Yeah. But hey, I got to talk about this stuff with somebody. Nobody else gives a shit. So, but what they don't know is going to hurt them. Duh.
True facts, my friends. Do we have anything else that we want to add to some of these dream spirits? Any other dream ideas, ideals, thoughts, stories that we want to share?
I do.
Go for it.
I don't know what the broad reach of this channel is or will be in the future, but if you're part of a culture that has something similar, I'd be really interested in knowing what your lore is, whether like the names and what it looks like or what it's supposed to look like, that kind of thing. I'd be very curious. So if you have something like that, let us know.
Let us know down below or email us at paramindful@gmail.com.
And Karl, do you have anything else you want to share or add to this awesome topic that you brought forward for us?
Stay tuned. We may have another episode of this coming out. Especially you talked about, Bobby having his own experiences as well. And maybe if we can find a little bit more about them, or even if someone gives us some information as well about their experiences or their lore from cultural standpoints, I think we definitely have the makings for another episode of this at least.
Yeah.
Other than that, I don't have anything else to add to this tonight.
Is this the shortest video that I've ever been in?
I think so.
Wow,
I
very
think this is the shortest video I've ever been in.
nice. I'm not talking about porn, Mel. Come on. That was a joke. Come on,
Hey,
guys.
I mean, when you're reviewing NJPW tournaments, or if you're reviewing Stardom tournaments,
Aren't they like
takes
4
for
hours?
heckin' ever.
Like, aren't the tournaments like hours long?
3 hours long. 3 hours. It's like suffering a Monday Night Raw. No offense, Karl.
Which has been good lately.
Well, I mean, that's what happens when you get rid of the dementia.
Right?
Yeah,
It's
it's
like-
amazing what happens when you get rid of the mental issues and something that's just dragging everything down.
It's
We're
like
not going to talk about wrestling right now, though. We're
It's
going
like
to
sitting
talk
through Halloween
about what
3.
Karl just popped out at the bottom there, and that is Rogue Energy Drink, our sponsor for this video. It is a 0 sugar, 0 filler, 5-calorie drink. You can get them for pre-workouts. I guess it is technically a pre-workout. That's what I use
Yeah.
it for. Energy drinks, protein, hydration. They have all kinds of flavors. I swear by the blood orange because that's what I do. I believe OLED loves that watermelon flavor though. And our good
yeah.
friend Chris Parrish always going on about that rocket pop. Have you guys actually gotten any of your Rogue Energy yet? Alex, I think you were expecting some. Did you get it?
I did. It was delicious.
Excellent. Excellent. I believe Karl has a fun little video with all of the fun flavors from Rogue set up for us. So let's take a look at that one, Karl. So fancy, so bougie. I always dance to this music.
Right?
It's
Right?
Such a good beat. Love it. And Karl, you've got some news for the people about our ParaMindful merchandise. Take it away, my friend.
Sure do. New items coming soon for ParaMindful. I will let all of you know that. You can find it at the ticker down below, karlcarafel.redbubble.com. That is the site to go to where you can take a look and see what is available for ParaMindful.
Excellente. Yeah, you can get that fun little Ghost ParaMindful logo put on pretty much anything that you want. Go check that out. And that being said, my friend Karl, where can the people find you, both on social media and on the interwebs?
You can find me here at my link tree, linktr.ee/Karl Carafel.
And Karl, besides the Raw watch along that happens on Turnbuckle Talk and OLE every Monday as the show is going on, which I always love to tune into and listen to you and OMD chitty chat. Sometimes Chris Parrish is in there, sometimes Chris Best is in there.
Is
Yes.
Chris
Other than that, what else have you got going on on the interweb stuff?
Well, for Turnbuckle Studios, do the Raw watch along, and then on Monday nights, obviously for Monday Night Raw, and then on Tuesdays I have Turnbuckle Talk, where I have now secured a permanent co-host in Chris Best, who has been able to fix around some things, and he is going to be with me all the time now, which is absolutely fantastic. You can find that Tuesdays live at 8:05 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on the Turnbuckle Studios channel, as well as our local establishments channels.
Excellente. And Alex, if everyone's wanting to follow you on social media, where are they going to find you?
I first have to ask, why is it 8:05?
It's a throwback to the old TBS WCW days because they started 5 minutes after the hour.
Right. Okay, cool. I'm picking up what you... Okay, cool.
Yep.
Nice. As for me, I got 2 YouTube channels. Wait You Cannon, where I put anything. Usually, lately it's been like motorcycle fixing stuff, and then I got Werewolf at the Movies, where I ride a motorcycle, and then I used to record it when I was riding in my helmet with a microphone, and they got really, really long, like 15-minute videos. Now I just dub my voice over it and let you guys look at the pretty stuff that I record. So, Werewolf at the Movies. That's it. That's it and all. Oh, I do have one picture on Instagram, and I got the Instagram. It's werewolf. I think it's werewolf on a bike. I think. I got
You're,
it
you're gonna find it and put it in right here, right?
somewhere, but I got it because Mel told me to, and so there's literally one picture on.
You know you're supposed to get it and actually use it.
I know, Mel. Where can
Sorry.
we find you?
If you're wanting to find a Melball, you can find her on Twitter at Collins Melball. You can find her at Melball Collins on pretty much everything else: Mastodon, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. You can find me on our local establishment with this show, ParaMindful, but you can also find me on there with the Love Your Health series. We've done a weight loss series as well as a mental health series. That's a lot of fun with our good friend Bobby Munson. And the last guest was Astra Pizarro for our mental health special. That was pretty awesome. You can also catch me regularly on Andre and Melball's Wrestling Talk on YouTube, where we talk all things NJPW and Stardom Wrestling. We got a couple videos coming out later this week. Don't want to miss that. And of course, can't forget the beautiful natural Astra Pizarro. You can catch me on her show, Ladies Wrestling Showcase, every couple of weeks. This week, we're going to be talking about some fun ladies in the industry who have really elevated the LGBT community for Pride Month. So you don't want to miss out on what we got to say about those lovely ladies. That being said, gentlemen, does anyone else have anything they want to say to the beautiful people?
Yes.
Go ahead.
If there's something bothering you, feel free to give us a shout. We are safe people. And as I always say at the end of my werewolf movies, this is a safe place, a happy place. And in those movies, it's a werewolf place, but here it's a paramindful place. We love everybody.
It's a spooky yuki-ish place.
Yeah, it's a little less spooky when there's 3 people. So
Yeah.
Comfort in
I
numbers.
mean,
that's right.
though you guys have like painted this pretty picture for me to like be horrified of leaving my room after this.
Good
Gonna
night.
sit here with the lights on until morning.
Don't mind the scratching at the door.
Don't mind the scratching. I am the scratching.
Fair enough.
I got the claws required, and I just got them done. They're so pretty. They look like chocolate.
Wolverine.
This is why I was
Mel.
late for our recording. That being said,
This is the point where I'm going to put in the X-Men theme and just have Wolverine going like...
we're getting off the rails here. We're taking a freaking chapter out of Parrish and Munson's books right now for busting out. That being said, everyone, I am your Melball. Over there is the werewolf, and down there is the gold standard. We will catch you next time. Keep her spooky.